Hello, everyone. This is my first live, so hopefully it goes good. I'll wait for some of you to come on here. Sorry if the lighting ain't very good in here. My picture looks kind of grainy. I always wanted to give a live a try, so I figured I'd do it this morning. Still don't see anybody on here yet. Might take a bit for somebody to show up. Got my new hat on, covering up my bed head. My daughter, son-in-law got this for me, this hat. It's a Bubba Gump shrimp hat. And they went to the Mall of America here just last week and brought this back as a souvenir for me. I'm not much of a ball cap person. Good morning, AZ Highland Homestead. Glad you could join me. I'm just testing out this live. This is the first time on a live, but I thought I'd give it a try. I won't be on here very long, but I thought I'd give it a try and see how many people joined me this morning. Hey, Matt, how's it going, buddy? Hey, Boone, I'm glad you got to join my first live. You have a safe trip taking your kids to school there, Boone. Thanks, AZ. I was wondering, on my screen, it looks kind of grainy, the picture, so I didn't know. I'm doing good, Matt. Hello, Wendy. I'm glad you guys joined me. It's going to be different trying to read all these comments and then trying to keep up. Yeah, I thought I'd give a try on this live deal. A lot of people go on lives and do them. I know a lot of you have done them. And I thought I'd give it a try. Yeah, I haven't been on YouTube in a while. I mean, I've been watching a few videos. I finally posted a video, an update on my brother after his episode with his heart and stuff. He ain't doing real good. He went to the doctor yesterday, and I didn't find out much information on that. When I done that video, I didn't tell you that the doctors fitted him with what they call a life vest or something like that. It's more like a bra, but what it does is it monitors his heart, and if his heart stops beating, it shocks him. It'll start his heart up again. So it's kind of a scary situation, but he's still with us, so that's about all I can tell you. He did go to the doctor yesterday and didn't learn much, so hopefully he gets better, but time will tell, I guess. Thank you, AZ. I'm sure he appreciates all the prayers, so. I never know what to talk about on these lives. You know, I watch a lot of these. Good morning, My Alabama Farm Life. I always want to talk about different things when I'm thinking about doing a live, and then now that I'm on here, I never know what to talk about. I'm going to be on another live this morning. I'm going to be a guest on a live, so a lot of you probably got that notification. If you guys notice these pictures behind me, Those are like graduation pictures of my kids. It's hard for you to see them. But anyhow, that's what's on the wall there. I'm in my living room, sitting on the couch. Hardly ever come in this living room. Got brand new furniture. We never come in here and sit. I redone this room actually about 5 years ago. And I bet this couch has only been sat on maybe 3 or 4 times tops. All the kids are out of the house. Got new furniture, new carpet, repainted the wall behind us. It's accent wall. And it was a speckled wall, 2 different colors, and now it's just solid brown. But yeah, we never come to the living room, never have company. Most of the time, if we have company, we actually go to their house and they don't come here. So yeah, that's a good idea. Make a list of stuff that happens throughout the week, and then when you do a live, then you know what to talk about. I haven't been doing much of anything this week except for working on cleaning up some scrap metal around here. A lot of you might know my brother owns a salvage business. He has 2 salvage yards, one in Ottawa, Iowa, and one in Blair, Nebraska. And I've been working on cleaning up some scrap metal. Prices have gone up quite a bit. And that's what I've been doing this morning. Good morning, Life with Blend and Chuck. I'm going to be on their channel later on this morning on a live. So I thought I'd get on here and give this a try. But that's what I've been doing, is cleaning up some scrap metal. I got my second payment due on my Morton building. Of course, it's still sitting on the property next door. It'll get moved here hopefully in a couple months, as long as this weather stays nice. But that's what I'm going to do, is haul some junk in later today, go to the bank and make my second payment on that building. My payments are $268 and I think 46 cents. But last month was the first payment. I paid $302 and some change. And today my goal is to make at least a $300 payment. I like paying things off early. That's the only payment my wife and I actually have. Our house is paid for, our cars are paid for. We're debt free, other than the Morton building now, but I was debt free there for a while. But now I'm got that payment hanging over my head, which it ain't bad. I can usually clean up enough scrap and keep scrap coming in and haul in the junkyard to make my payments. So sorry if I'm not keeping up with these comments. I see a lot of you guys just chatting with one another. Need 2 people here, me just talking and somebody else reading the comments. I know a lot of you guys team up with your spouses when you do these lives and stuff to keep up with the comments, but my wife don't like being on camera at all. She actually don't like nothing about my YouTube ventures, so I guess that's what I have to deal with. That's right, AZ. Being debt free, it's when I made our last payment on our property, it was the best feeling ever, I'll tell you that. Actually, I went in and made 1 big payment. I'd remodeled an apartment for a friend and went and collected the money, went to the bank and made the 1 big payment, and then I was done. There's no better feeling than being debt free. Kind of gives you a little bit of freedom, kind of do things at your leisure rather than feel like you're forced to do something, get out there and earn the mighty dollar to make payments. My Alabama life. I think I could get the cat to go on a live with me, but you are braver than I am. Yeah. I was kind of nervous about trying to go live this morning, but I guess it ain't all that bad. Yeah, I know, Wendy. You mentioned that before. Your husband don't want to do YouTube, don't like being on the videos. That's the way my wife is. I might have to find somebody else to help me go live, you know. I know if my grandsons were up here, they'd love it. Logan especially. Hope you're enjoying your coffee with the girls, Wendy. There's a couple that I'm friends with. They live down in Onwall. They actually live right across the road from my brother's salvage yard in Onwall. And it sits on a gravel road right on the edge of town, basically. But we go down and have coffee with them about once every 2 weeks. I take her eggs, give her eggs, and her husband trains dogs and does a lot of hunting. And they'll call me and I ask if we want to have coffee. We go down there and have coffee. And then they always ask me if I want some pheasant. So they give me pheasant to eat and I give them eggs. So it's kind of a barter system, but we enjoy going down and visit with them. They're a few years older than us, but we enjoy the company, you know, just sit and have coffee and visit. Pure Pondering, hello, thanks for joining me. I see you said I've not gotten the nerve up to do any lives yet. Yeah, this is my first, so maybe I'll do more after this one, but it was just spur of the moment thing. I thought, what the heck, I'll get on here and do it. I see AZ Highland said something about he loves hearing about scrap and the people across the street from my brother's yard. Yeah, their name's Doug and Vic. They're a nice couple. He's actually like 70. He don't look 70 or even act 70. He's more like he's about like 50, you know, in looks and the things he does. And his wife's, I think, in 65 now. I think he might be 70 or just a little older. He's a little bit older than her, but anyways, nice couple. I do enjoy sit and have coffee, and my wife actually enjoys sit and have coffee. When I used to work for my brother at the salvage yard, I used to leave early every morning and stop at the what I call coffee shop. It was a gas station, little convenience store or whatever. And I'd stop there, and it was called the 66 gas station, and got to know the lady that managed it. And there's local farmers always went in early in the morning and would have coffee and BS. So I'd go in there every morning, stop, and they'd ask me how iron prices were and all that kind of stuff, just chatting, knew that I worked for my brother. And my wife always, why do you leave to go to work so early? And I said, I stop and get a cup of coffee and BS with the farmers. And she just couldn't understand it, you know. She said, you could be doing something constructive around the house before you leave work if you're going to go and work that early. And I said, I just don't enjoy listening to the old farmers talk, you know, hear some of the stories from way back in the day. And she just didn't understand it. And now I started getting her to go with me to have coffee with Doug and Vic. And he talks about the past, you know, when he was a kid and stuff like that. She really enjoys it. And she says, you know, I really enjoy having coffee with them. She says, it's kind of interesting hearing the stories. And I said, and you wondered why I went to work early every day. That's why. I said, I actually enjoy the stories. And I said, now you understand. Yeah, I kind of do now. And I said, yeah, for years you were griping at me for going down there and having coffee every morning. Well, now you see what I was enjoying, you know. Some people don't enjoy stuff like that, but I do. I enjoy sitting and visiting with people and hearing about their stories. Well, hello, Nona Grace. Glad you joined me on my live. Every morning my wife gets up. Well, not every morning. Some mornings she's off, but she's got a weird schedule where she works 3 days, has 2 days off, works 2, has 2 days off, and works 3. And every third week she has to work Monday through Friday, but she works 12-hour shifts. So the days that she does work, she's up by 4 o'clock, gets ready for work, leaves by 5 because she has to be to work by 6. And that's usually when I get up. I feed the dogs. Well, they start getting up about 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes earlier. I'll let them out to go potty. They come back in, go to bed. They get up a little bit later, want fed. So then I usually get up and then I'm up same time my wife is every morning, feed the dogs. That's when I get on my phone and start catching up on a few videos before I go out and do chores. Good morning, Tony, our cabin in the woods. Glad you joined me. I see you're on here. I'm sorry if I'm not reading all these comments. Hello, New Beginnings. Thanks. You say I'm doing a good job. I hope I am. Yeah, Uncle Jim, he has the early morning just like my wife. My wife leaves at 5 every morning or just before so she can get to work in time. She stops and gets a Coke at the local Casey's before she hits work. But hello, Twin Brooks Acres. I see you're on here. Thank you. Anyhow, yeah, today I got to get some scrap metal, finish cleaning some up and haul down to the salvage yard. I called my brother yesterday and get prices on the scrap that I'm hauling in. I'll give you an example of the stuff that I'm hauling in. I'm hauling in some number 2 copper, compressors. Now, when I say compressors, they're the motors out of the refrigerators and freezers and air conditioners and central air units. And then I have some electric motors, like the little fan motors out of like some air conditioners and different things like that. And then I have some brass that I've been cleaning. And when I talk about cleaning brass, a lot of people that don't scrap don't understand this, but like your kitchen faucet, unless it's a cheap plastic one, a kitchen faucet's made out of brass, but it has the plastic knobs. You have to take them off. You actually take the faucet part, the knobs apart, or after you take the knob off, take the other part out. And there's rubber O-rings in there, and you got to take them out too. That's cleaning it. You got to get rid of anything that ain't made out of brass. Sometimes the screws can be stainless screws or actual steel screws. You want to throw them away or throw them in the scrap metal, whatever. But you got to make sure everything's brass and no rubber, no plastic. So you got to clean that stuff off. The compressors, I used to cut them open. There's basically electric motor in there and a little piston and a crankshaft, like an engine in the compressors. I used to cut them open, pull the electric motor part out and burn them off and then cut the wiring out. But I'm getting a good enough price. And I talked about that in an earlier video. When you clean stuff, sometimes you're losing money by cleaning it. It depends on the price of the product that you're selling. Like compressors, I could cut it open, pull the motor out, sell the electric motor. Right now, my brother quoted me 32 cents, I think it was, for electric motors. But I could burn that copper off and pull it out. But most of the motors have like a pound of copper less, and copper's only 365. But that motor is so much heavier that you actually end up selling the electric motor for more than what you're going to get out of the copper and steel being separated. Same way with compressors. He quoted me 25 cents for compressors. Well, sometimes you have a big old compressor, it might weigh 60 pounds out of one of those central air units. At 60 pounds at 25 cents, that's good money. I said, you pull the electric motor out of it, pull the copper out, you get 1 pound of copper, you end up losing quite a bit of money. It's because they're buying that steel at such a high price, basically, with a little dab of copper. But I used to clean them compressors, but the compressor price is pretty good, so they're not getting cleaned because I'll be losing money if I do clean them. I should do more videos on some of my scrapping that I do. I do quite a bit of scrapping. And it's just a good way to make extra money on the homestead. You know, a lot of you people have goats and pigs and sheep and cows and whatever. And sometimes it's a give and take when you're raising them, if you're trying to raise them for money. And if you need extra money to buy the feed for them, scrapping's a good way to do it. There's people always wanting to get rid of something laying around. And I've made a living off of that for many years, or at least helped my income by scrapping. There's years that I made $25,000 in 1 year just scrapping alone, you know, which ain't bad. And that's just doing it part-time. the best metals to get to make money are aluminums and all your non-ferrous metals. Anything the magnet don't stick to is worth more. Your stainless steel, your copper, your brass, aluminum, all that kind of stuff. There's people always wanting to get rid of appliances. They call them white goods. You can make a lot of money collecting appliances. People buy new appliances and they always have to get rid of the old one. Here in the state of Iowa, yet there's like the landfill. If you take them to landfill, they have about a $10 or $15 charge to get rid of each piece of white good. And that's because of like the Freon and that kind of stuff that's in them. Some states, I think just the most states right in the very Midwest, like Missouri, Iowa, I think Illinois, and just a couple others, require you to be licensed through the DNR to take them in, like the salvage yards. They got different stipulations. It's all money game. They want you to get a license, which costs you about $300 a year or something like that, the last I checked. And of course, they want to send you through a course and learn how to extract Freon, which I've already taken the course and all that stuff. But it's just a money game. You know, it's a tax. You can go over to state of Nebraska. You don't have to have that. So well, thanks for getting rid of that bot. New beginnings. I see, Wendy, you're talking to Tony about lumber prices. I was just watching a thing on the internet. They were talking about the lumber prices going up and stuff. And I don't know how people can afford to actually build unless they're cutting their own lumber and building their barns or, you know, whatever. I just seen a video yesterday where somebody, and this just happened 2 weeks ago, and I'm not sure where the city was, but somebody was building a house in the rural, well, I think it was where there had been an old house they'd taken down because a lot of nice houses, but they were building a house and the setback, they'd poured the foundation. Well, the setback, meaning from the street back, you had to go so many feet back. Well, they were like a foot, maybe 13 inches off or something. And they had it all framed up, ready to site it. I'm not sure. I don't think they had the roofing on it yet. But they brought a backhoe in. The city made them come in and tear it all down. They just brought a backhoe and knocked it all down. Every bit of it. It's kind of sad, but now they're trying to decide. You know, the city couldn't waiver, saying, "Oh, okay, we'll waiver that 1.5 or a foot," and actually it was just over a foot, but it was a foot too close to the street, like it was going to make that big of a difference. And then they're trying to see who's to blame. The contractor poured the foundation, you know, and they had to have city inspectors come and inspect it, say, yeah, it's good, start framing up. You know, they should have done the measure and said, oh, no, this is too close before they started framing. They could have adjusted it then, but they didn't. They knocked the house down. Kind of sad. I'm reading, we use all free container crates, pallet wood here for our projects. That's new beginnings. Yeah, I have an elderly friend. I've talked about Roger. A friend and I built a tiny house for him. He lives down in Little Sioux, Iowa, which is a dumpy little town. And he used to go to the local implement dealers. There's two of them in Ottawa. There's an International dealer and a John Deere dealer. And he would go down there and get the crates because they were 1x4s, 1x6s, 2x4s. He used to collect that stuff and tear them apart. And then a lot of local people would come to him and buy them. Have an uncle that's bought a lot of material from him. He was into scrapping too. He used to go around and pick up appliances and just any scrap metal that people would give him. And he used to come into the salvage yard, and that's how I got to know the guy. Well, my mom had went to school with him and his brothers. And so that's how I got to know him. He was living in a camper. I should do a video on his camper showing you the camper he lived in. I talked about him being a hoarder and stuff, but if you go way back, I don't even remember what I titled the video, but you can see the tiny house that my friend and I built for him. and it's a nice little tiny house, and all the money that I put in it was straight out of my pocket, just out of the kindness of my heart. $5,100 is what I built that house for, and it's 26 feet long, I think. It's got one bedroom. It's fully furnished, a shower, toilet, hot water heater, sink, little refrigerator with a actual freezer and refrigerator. It's a 10 cubic foot, I believe. Microwave, window air conditioner I put in the wall. Framed it up on the wall, not in a window, but actually on a wall where the air conditioner's right through the wall. But that's what I had total is $5,100. A little electric, apartment size kitchen range, you know. But I always wanted to help the guy out, and always said if I ever won the lottery, I'd build him a house. I actually said I'd buy the whole town of Little Sioux and level the house, because there's a lot of old, dumpy, rundown houses. And I was going to level the house, put a fence up around the property of the town, and build a mansion for Roger, because a lot of people wouldn't treat him nice. And then after saying this for a while, I thought to myself, you don't have to be rich to help somebody out. And just if he had a place where he could call his own, you know, or house, that would be great, you know. So I had a bunch of camper frames, which I still have some, and I was always interested in those tiny houses. Well, I met a friend that was a carpenter by trade, and so anyways, I asked him, hey, you want to help me build this tiny house? He said, sure. So we took the frame over to his house, started building it, and ended up building that tiny house. A lot of material I built or used to build it. Not a lot. Well, quite a bit, actually. Not so much the framing. I did have the 2x6s for the floor, but I didn't have the 2x4s for the studs and stuff. So I did have to purchase them, and the siding, or not the side. Well, the sheeting, I should say. The vinyl siding and the metal. The guy that helped me had the vinyl siding, and I had the metal for the roof and the walls. All the copper wire was brand new pieces that came in the salvage yard. Had a lot of electrical contractors come in, and they'd bring partial rolls of Romex, and we was buying it at the time. Copper wasn't that high, but I'd buy it from the contractors $1 a pound. We was paying for at the salvage yard $1 a pound, so I had brand new Romex to wire the tiny house. Had electric baseboard heaters given to us. Breaker box was given to me by a electrician that came in there. He had some good used fuse boxes and stuff, and he said, yeah, I got a breaker box that worked perfect for that. So, but a lot of stuff, you know, people helped me out. Still had $5,100, but that was fully furnished with the stove, hot water heater, and everything. Probably the most expensive thing I bought was the hot water heater, because it was a 31-gallon, kind of odd size, 31-gallon, but had to be only so tall to fit underneath the kitchen counter, underneath the sink off to the right of the sink. And I had to use a single basin sink, not a double sink, for it to fit, according to the plans that we had done. So, but it's a nice little tiny house. Now he can't get out and drive no more, so he's stuck there. So it's a good thing he's got a nice house, sits there and watches TV. He calls every once in a while, see what I'm up to, and see if I'm been doing any scrapping or whatever. He calls me and asks me how my day's going. See, we help people with our time, helping them. And also I grow food for others. We are totally off grid and try to live without any bills and costs. That's new beginnings. That's good. Yeah. I'd love to be off grid. Of course, I'm not. I'm working on that cabin. I have that little building I'm turning into a cabin. We had a cold spell, so I hadn't been working on it, but it's been warming up. But now I'm working on cleaning up some scrap metal right now. But I need to get back on that project and try and get that done, get the roof on it and stuff. But yeah, I'd love to be totally off grid. I keep telling my grandson Logan that helps me with things. I always tell him, we get that cabin built, we're going to go up in our pasture, put it up there, and him and I are going to live up there together. And he's all excited about it. I say, yeah, we're going to live up there. Grandma, we'll have to come down and visit Grandma once in a while. we keep telling him, he says, what are we going to do for a bath? Because we ain't going to have water, Grandpa. I said, we're going to go across the road and take a bath in the creek. And he just smiles. Okay. So he's kind of excited about spending time in Grandpa's cabin whenever I get it done. And I'm reading a few comments here, see what I missed. Yeah, I got to get my scrapping done today. I got that live later on this morning. Going to be on that for a little bit. And then when I get done with that, I got to get out there and get the rest of my stuff cleaned up and get it loaded and get ready to take to the junkyard. Called my brother yesterday on prices. I was telling you that. He gives me a little better price most of the time than what he does his actual customers that come in. I'll call him and ask him, hey, what are you going to pay me for copper or brass or whatever? And he always gives me a little bit better price than what he's paying everybody else. But I guess that's the luxury of working for him for many years that I did. He tries and helps me out, I guess. I try selling him the scrap. There is another scrap yard I could go and get a little better prices, but I have to drive further. I'm only 15 minutes from his salvage yard, and the other one's about an hour drive. But the only way it's going to pay to drive that far, especially with the price of fuel right now, is have a big load, a real big load, to make up the difference in the cost, or, the difference in the prices, what he'd be paying and what they'd be paying. I'm going to try and get some videos out this week. I've been working on a dump trailer, which I have a part 1 and part 2 way back in that project. I actually was having troubles with my welder, so I took it over to my son's house last fall, actually, I think it was, and he done some welding on it for me, and I was over there and was recording part of it, and then it got put on the back burner because he's busy, and he says, I don't have time to weld on it right now. And I said, all right, let me know when you do. Well, he took it upon himself to go on ahead and finish welding what I needed welding. And I wasn't there to record it, but I did get a little bit of recording of the first time when we took it over. Well, he got it all done, and he called me. He says, hey, I'm bringing that trailer over. And I said, what trailer? And he says, your dump trailer. And I said, oh, okay. Well, he brought it back, and he had everything done, which I didn't get to record it. And so anyways, I got to do a video on that, but I got to take it back over to him because I still messing with my welder. Haven't got it working right. And part of the welding that he done, well, it wasn't his fault. It needed some gussets on one part, and I'll show it to you when I actually do the video. But I was testing it out and something bent, and which wasn't good. So I got to get that straightened out, but I'll explain that. But I am putting a seat on this dump trailer because it's for to hook up behind my walk behind tractor. And he's got to do some welding on that to mount the seat. But I get that done, and I get the foot pegs mounted. I think I got to mount the brackets to bolt the seat to, get them welded on, put some foot pegs on it, and then I'll do a video on that. That'll be part 3. And then the only thing I'll have left to do is actually put a floor in it and the sides on it. I got some plywood that I plan on putting in there. Then I plan to line it with plastic. So everything that's in there, like dirt, manure, any of that kind of stuff, compost, will slide out when I raise it up. But it's quite neat, the trailer, the way it turned out so far. I had ideas on how to dump it, and I was trying to figure that out. And then I happened to see another video. A guy used a winch for the lifting mechanism, and that's what we end up doing. So I think you guys will be impressed with the trailer. I'll actually do a video of me driving around on it. Let's see. Boone says, it's good to hear and see you live. Well, thank you, Boone. Yeah, I didn't know whether I should do it live or not. And I got my computer out, which I never use. Matter of fact, I have it in a computer bag and it stays in there. I never get it out and use it. I'm not much on computers. I used one at my last job, and let's see, nothing edited. Good morning, nothing edited. Yeah, says you got the hang of it fast. Yeah, I guess so. I guess I'm just a natural. No. Twin Brook Acres, lurking while working. That's good. I appreciate you being here, Twin Brook Acres. See Idaho Hillbillies on here. Hello. See you later, Tony. Our cabin in the woods. Enjoy your family. Boone, I've done that myself, left my camera outside. Of course, it's a GoPro and they're waterproof. But the times well, matter of fact, I lost it one day actually too, but I've left it outside, laid it on the four-wheeler when I was doing some recording and come in the house, got busy, and then forgot all about it. But of course, it didn't rain or snow or nothing like that. I mean, I think it was during the summertime when I left my camera out. But one time I did lose it. I was doing a recording a video. I was mowing and baling some clover. It was last year for my son-in-law's brothers who it's for. And I stuck my camera. I had it on that adjustable stick, basically, in my GoPro. And I had it in my pocket. And of course, I'm on a side hill and I'm mowing and then I'm raking the clover. And all of a sudden, it's like I realized my camera wasn't there. Well, it was a big old field. I'd done a lot of walking, and I thought it's going to be underneath this clover that I just raked, and I won't be able to find it. And I walked and walked and walked. Actually, I finally come across it and found it, and it wasn't damaged or anything, but I was lucky, Could have been buried in the clover, and then I'd have been turning it all over by hand trying to find the darn thing. Yeah, it's hard sometimes keeping track of stuff. I'll go outside and start recording, and then I get busy and I don't want to break the camera, so I'll set it on something. I've only left it outside maybe once or twice and lost it that one time. But the worst part now is I know a while back the protective lens basically over the on the GoPro camera, you can turn it and it pops off, and I had a crack in it. And actually, I got it cracked. I'll tell you, I cracked it. Little welding bead splatter from when I was working on that dump trailer during my second video when I was recording. I was filming or whatever, and some splatters went and hit the camera or hit the lens. And of course, it cracked it, got that glass hot and cracked it. And so sometimes when I was doing videos, I left it, I didn't take it off or anything. But when I was recording, if you're in the sun, there was a glare, you could sometimes, you could kind of see that line. It just looked like a glare going across there. Well, that was that crack in that camera. And somebody had mentioned it to me And I said, yeah, there's a crack in my camera or in the lens. I need to get a new one. Well, it's like a cover basically, keeps it waterproof. So here a while back, I took it off. I think a new one cost about $15 on Amazon. I just haven't taken the time to order one. I should. But I took it off. I left it on to kind of protect it from dust and stuff, the actual lens, camera lens itself. But I end up taking it off, and now you don't see that glare when I do the videos. But now my camera is kind of vulnerable. I can't leave it outside. Moisture probably can get in and ruin it. So, but at least I ain't got that glare on there for right now. Maybe one day I'll get a new one. I don't know. Nikki St. Laurent, good morning. Glad you joined me today. That's true, Twin Brook Acres. Living in the city makes no difference now. Yeah, there's crooks everywhere that'll come and steal. Fortunately, I haven't had nobody come here, but I think a lot of people are afraid of me because they know I'm half crazy. I just tell them how it is. Most people leave me alone. I live right on the highway, and I live at a corner where my old house sits, where a lot of my junk's at. There's a stop sign. You come to the corner, and there happens to be a bar. I live out in the country, but there's a bar just up the highway out in the middle of nowhere, right on the highway. But most people do leave me alone. I don't have anybody come in here and steal. I think because my place is such a mess, they look at it and like, there ain't nothing worth their stealing. But actually, if they come in and they stole my scrap metal, then they'd have a lot of money, but probably too much work for them. I'm reading some of these comments here. Yeah, cameras are gold. That's for sure, Wendy. I use my GoPro. I have a GoPro 7 Black, and that's what I use for all my recording, except for once in a while I'll do one with my phone if I'm just doing a short or I happen to just spur of the moment. I don't have my camera with me. I'll use my phone, and my phone camera ain't all that great. Now it's actually got a crack on the lens too. Boy, I'm surprised a lot of people are on here. I should feel good about my first live and so many people showing up. I guess when I take my scrap metal to the salvage yard, I'll do a recording and show you how much stuff I'll actually have taken down there. And then I'll show you my check afterwards, see how much I made off what little bit of stuff I actually have. Well, thank you, Boone. I love you guys too, every one of you. I've been trying to catch up on some of your guys' videos, and it's kind of hard when you got a lot of stuff going on. I had to go to Sioux City yesterday. I spent most of the day in Sioux City. I did do a little bit of watching videos last night, a few, and I got a few watched this morning, left comments. Hey, Wendy, if you're having coffee with all your friends, get them to subscribe to my channel, watch my videos, please. That's true, Boone. It's hard to stay caught up. As I've said before, and I'll repeat it again. A lot of you probably haven't heard me say this, but if I've ever watched a video of yours, I watched it from beginning to end, no matter how long it is. Some of these videos, I got on one, somebody had done a video and it was a live and I missed it. And I went on and watched it. It was like an hour and 15 minutes. And I sat there and watched the whole thing. but I watch them from beginning to end. I always give a thumbs up, and I always leave a comment. So if you see a comment on a particular video, you knew I was there and you know I watched it from beginning to end. I don't watch everybody's videos. I mean, I try and share my love. I don't catch everybody's videos, but in the morning on my notifications, I scroll down. If one catches my eye or I see a channel that, I haven't watched their video in a while, I better get on there and watch their video, and I'll do it. Sometimes I'll watch 2 of their videos. I do have a lot of newer channels that I've recently subscribed to, and they're, some of them got 86 subscribers, 100 and something. I try helping them out a lot and watch their channels for a while, help them build up rapport with other people, and I should start writing them channels down and do shout outs for them, help them out. I know a lot of people did for me, and I was thankful. I mean, I've gotten on some lives, and seemed like when I was first starting out, I'd get on live and comment and chat with people, and I get off the live and have 4 or 5, 6 more new subscribers. I sleep binge the channels I'm friends with to help with watch hours. Then I listen from work and comment when something catches my ears while I'm working. Yeah, pure pondering. I know what you mean. I scroll through my notifications. If somebody's got a new recipe or, like they're cooking something, I always like watching because I like food and I like cooking. And if I can learn something from somebody on cooking, I'll watch it. I like projects. I like welding. I like building. So if somebody's building a cabin or something like that, I'm on there watching that. When somebody comments they got a new animal to their farm or acreage or whatever, I said I always get on there and watch them. I'm an avid goat lover. I don't have goats right now, but I used to have goats, and I'm wanting to get some more. And I did get on Craigslist the other day and found some. I like Nubian goats, and I did find some Nubian goats. And then I got on there just the other day, and I think they were gone. The ad was gone, so I'm assuming they sold them. But that's what I'm looking for, is some Nubian goats preferably. But I did find some Saanen goats, and they were in milk. And they were a little cheaper than the Nubians were, but I haven't got my fence put up yet for them. My wife said I can get them if I get the fence up first. Yeah, Wendy, one of these days we're going to meet, even if I have to drive to Oklahoma to visit you. I'm glad Tom watches me too. Good morning, Reap What You Sow. Glad you joined me. Yeah, I want to get a video out on that dump trailer. I want to get that actually finished up because my horses are across the street from my house. I should say street, it's highway, but yes, I'm wearing this ring. I wear this every day. I took it off the day before yesterday, and I put it back on yesterday. The only reason I took it off is I was out there working on tearing that junk apart. And actually, I wished I'd left it on. It might have protected my finger. I got a spot right there. Kind of scraped it, but it'll heal up. But I ended up putting it back on yesterday when I went to town. But otherwise, yeah, since I put it on, the only time I took it off was the day before yesterday, and then I put it back on yesterday. So I had it off for almost 24 hours. Yeah, I'll get up there. That's the ring. You can tell that's a leaf, like an oak leaf. And that's turquoise and red coral. Yeah, I'm sure there's a story behind this ring, but the only thing I can tell you about this ring is the lady that cleans my mom's house. She's working for a guy that don't live too far from me, actually, and he's been buying up the last 3 or 4 years. He's been buying up old houses, and mainly older houses that are run down really bad. Elderly people lived in them most of their lives or whatever. And he happened to buy a house down there in Little Sioux, the dumpy little town I was telling you about, where my friend Roger lives in that tiny house that I'd built. And she was cleaning this house. The guy had passed away or something, I think is what the deal was. And it was just full of trash and old belongings or whatever. And this guy purchased this house, and she went in to clean it out and repaint it, and was throwing stuff out. And then she come across this ring, and we was at my friend Dan's. Dan's he's a friend of mine, has a pizza place there in Ottawa, and we go down there and eat once in a while. And we happened to be down there eating, and my mom and called me and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going, just getting to Dan's, going to eat pizza." And she said, "Oh, well, we were going to come down or call you and see if you wanted to go to Dan's tonight." And I said, "Come down." So she came down. She had only been there a couple minutes, and then in walked this lady that cleans her house, her and her husband. And then she showed my mom this ring that she found. And I said, "Let me see that." And I looked at it and I said, "What do you want for it? I'll buy it." Well, then she didn't want to, let's see. She didn't want to give me a price because she says that her husband, she says he wanted her to take it to J&J Coins and Collectibles in Sioux City and have him appraise it, tell him what it's worth. Well, then the next day she went to my mom's house and was talking. She said, "I was going to tell Brian he could have that ring for $20, but I didn't want my husband getting mad." And mom says, "Well, I'll call him, let him know." So she called me and said, "Hey, she'll take $20 for that ring." And I said, "Gotta go find another channel. See you later, New Beginnings." But anyhow, she said, "I was going to tell Brian $20 for that ring." But she said, "I didn't want Ed, my husband, getting mad." And mom says, "I'll call him." So she called me and says, "She said you have that ring for $20. I said, "Give it to her." I said, "I'll be over later today and pick it up and give you your money, pay you back." And, okay, that's fine. So that's what she done. This ring is really heavy. I figure there's more than $20 worth of silver in it. So, but yeah, I wished I knew the background. I wished I knew whose ring it was. And my mom was going to try and find out because my mom was from Mondamon, which was the next town south of Little Sioux. And she knows a lot of the older people that was in the house or owned the house that she was cleaning, but she has to find out and verify it for sure. But she thinks it was that particular guy's ring. But she said even if she has to drive down to Little Sioux and go to the address and find out, she says, but she thinks she knows whose ring it was. And this particular guy's sister-in-law, I guess it was a friend. He is a friend of my mom's and still alive and lives in town, so she'd be able to tell me about the ring. So if I get the chance, I'll try and find out the history on it. Let's see. I like heavy. My bracelet. Yeah, you can always feel it. I take this ring off and let somebody feel it. I done that the other day. I said, "Feel this ring." They're talking to some friend of ours, and I said, "It's heavy." And like, wow, they said that is heavy. You notice it, and it's kind of weird when I didn't have it on that day. It's like I could tell it's supposed to be on there. I could still feel it, like, you know what I mean? I still had the feeling that it was there, but you could tell it's missing, but you could tell where the placement was on my finger. Yeah, when I do my video on my scrap metal, like I said, I'm going to record it today. I'll be loading up that stuff and taking it to salvage yard. Probably won't get it posted till tomorrow, but or later tonight maybe. But when I get all the scrap gathered up and get it loaded up, I'll show you how much I'm taking down, and show you how much I got out of it. I'll show each item because I got a bucket of brass, and I'll tell you how many pounds are in it. Same with copper and the AC radiators, compressors, electric motors. And I think I have an auto radiator. I might be taking a partial auto radiator. And when I take that stuff down, I'll show you how much I make off of it. As I was talking, it's a good way to supplement your income on an acreage. I do anything I can to make an honest dollar. I'll tell you a little bit of background on me just for the last few years. At one time in my life, I told my wife I was going to retire at age, I think I said 48. I said, when I reach 48, I'm going to retire. And she says, you ain't going to be able to afford to retire at 48. And I said, don't matter. As long as I have everything paid off, I'm retiring. And she kind of went around with me and argued and said, oh, you ain't retiring at 48. And I said, okay, I'm retiring at 50. And I said, there ain't going to be no argument about it. 50 is when I'm retiring. Yeah, you're right. Whatever. Well, I worked at a heavy equipment. I worked for my brother for quite a few years. And then my nephew worked at a heavy equipment company. Well, they worked on Komatsu's. It was a Komatsu dealer, backhoes, dozers, excavators, stuff like that. But they worked on other brands too. And he said that they were hiring, that they were needing more mechanics. And he happened to come to our salvage yard to work on my brother's excavator. And he said, we're hiring up there. Why don't you come up there and apply? And I said, I don't have no mechanic background. I'm not no mechanic. I said, I have mechanical skills, He said, don't matter. He says, I'll train you. They'll send you to school, and stuff like that. He says, everything's on the computer. I said, you can look up the equipment, whatever. You can get online or get on the computer and look it up. It'll tell you how to tear stuff apart and put it back together. And he says, you can handle that, And so I did. I put my application in. I got hired. And I ended up working there for 4.5 years. And I ended up getting laid off as a permanent layoff. But when I was up there, I started out at $20 an hour. After you're on probation for 90 days. After 90 days, my boss gave me a $3 an hour raise and made me shop foreman. And he asked me if I could handle that, being shop foreman. I said, yeah. And he said, well, you're going to get a lot of guff from the guys. And I said, why is that? And he said, well, you only been here for a short while. And he says, one, your nephew, you know how he is. And I said, yeah. And he says, so they'll be kind of mad. There's some guys that have been working here longer than your nephew, and they'll be jealous or thinking, oh, I should have been the shop foreman, not him, or whatever. He said, you think you can handle the pressure? And I said, no pressure. I said, it'd be fine, which it was fine. Guys understood, I had to fill in for the service manager when he went on vacation, had to answer service calls. And let's see. Anyways, I went on service call, or I had to answer service calls, send the guys out on service calls when the boss was on vacation and stuff. And I got used to that. Well, after being shop foreman for a year, the service manager says, I'm going to bring you in the office. He says, from now on, well, it's time for my yearly review or whatever, or evaluation. And of course, he gave me $1 raise. So then I went up to $24 an hour. And he says, you're going to be in the office and you're going to be learning my job. He says, you're going to learn how to do invoicing. You're going to be answering a lot of the service calls, sending the guys out on calls, even when I'm here. He says, because I want them to respect you and listen to you like they do me. It shouldn't be any different, And I said, okay. So I think he's just letting me get the experience of being a boss, which I managed my brother's salvage yard in Ottawa. I had the boss, so it wasn't no big deal. And I've been supervisor at other jobs, so it was, wasn't nothing new. Well, anyways, I done that. I was in the office sitting on a computer, and that's why I wear glasses now. I had perfect vision until then. After being on a computer for a little over a year, the first year being in the office, so that's when my eyes started going bad, staring at the computer all day long. Well, anyhow, long story short, the Southern Division manager, well, actually before that, the salesman got fired. The service manager becomes salesman. They hired another guy back that had worked there the year before, or a little over a year before. He'd only worked there about a month, left. And about a year and a half later, he come back. They hired him back as a service manager. 6 months later, they end up getting rid of the Southern Division manager. And the new Southern Division manager was told, you get rid of people. Well, from every facility, he got rid of 2 or 3 people. The branch I worked at, I was the one that got let go. It was a smaller branch, and I got let go. I'd worked there 4.5 years. When I left, I was making $26.10 an hour. And my birthday was in August. I turned 50 because I said I was going to retire when I was 50. And the next month in September, I ended up getting permanent layoff. They said the service manager, which he no longer works there now, he said to me, just go on. He says, go draw your unemployment, find another job. They're not going to call you back. This is a permanent layoff. He says, they won't call you back. I said, okay, fine, whatever. So that's what I done. I ended up drawing my unemployment. And when I got done with my unemployment, when that ran out, I cashed in my 401k, paid off my walk behind tractor and baler. I had a loan on that. I'd gotten the loan in August and got laid off in September. Hadn't even made my first payment yet on my walk behind tractor and baler, which is expensive. If any of you looked them up, they aren't cheap. And my wife was all worried. I told her, don't worry about it. We've always made it before on little nothing. I said, we can do it again. My wife does have a good job, by the way. She has 401k, retirement plan, good insurance, health insurance for us. So, and she was making enough money that she could support us anyhow. We do have a acreage we used to rent. Well, we're actually selling on contract, so we got payments coming in from there. So we do have income from that too. We're not rich, but we get by. And so anyways, I paid off my walk behind tractor and baler and all my equipment, paid off my car. So then I didn't have no loans other than our house at the time. Well, of course, we had that income coming in from acreage we're selling. So that pretty much paid our house payment. I think we were like $65 short of actually making our payment. But I told my wife, I said, we want to hurry up and get that paid off. Well, she always felt like she likes the security. So she liked putting most of her money in her savings. I told her, it's costing us. We're giving all our interest that we're making off our acreage that we're selling. It's all going to the bank. It's going to the bank's pocket. We need to hurry up and pay our house off. So, which I have some videos on it where I was busting my butt trying to get the acreage or get our acreage paid off in a short while. And I told her we could do it in 12 months. Well, I ended up doing it in 7 months. And she had doubt because I told her in 12 months we were going to have to take the balance out of our savings and actually pay off the balance in 12 months. And she said she didn't want to part with her money. So then I knuckled down and hauled in scrap and done anything I could to make an extra dollar and got it paid off in 7 months. But when my unemployment ran out, my daughter was worried about me going and getting a job. And my wife said it was fine. I got enough money. We can get by without dad having to work and stuff. He's got his baler. He likes baling and junking and that kind of stuff, so he can do what he wants. And I haven't gone back to work since then. This September will be 4 years that I haven't worked. Not per se. I don't have a boss. I'm my own boss, I guess. I do scrapping, like I said. I sell my hay that I put up. A lot of my feed that I feed my animals, I get for free. The only feed I really buy actually is a little bit of laying mash for the chickens. And I have that one rabbit and I buy a bag of rabbit feed. But all my pig feed, I've never bought feed for any of my pigs. My horses, I put up the hay myself. So, and it helps. I know a lot of people, that do raise animals and stuff. They talking about the cost of feed going up. Well, I know it is, and I notice it because I even though I get most of my feed for free. Like I go over my wife's work, the bean plant, and scoop up beans along the road and the bean mill. And then my son works at the elevator, and he's gotten me corn, damaged corn, and he's gotten me beans and corn that was mixed and stuff that I feed my pigs. I still check out the prices of feed in the feed stores. Like I go to Baumgar's local farm supply store. There's Fleet Farm in Sioux City. And whenever I go there, that's where I go, right back to the feed, check out the prices of feed, look at feeders for chickens and that kind of stuff. Once you got the farm life in your system, you can't get rid of it, I guess, you know. I've always grown up on acreage. I always had a horse when I was a kid, had chickens. I used to raise chickens, had rabbits. Did have goats a couple different times when I was a kid, but that's what I do. I go and check that stuff out. So when I go to the farm stores, I'm always looking at stuff and can't get it out of your blood. But yeah, I go and I try and save my money. Like I said, I still scrap and that, but I don't have to buy most of the feeds for my animals, so it helps out. And if there's a way you can find, hello, Deb. Deb from Deb's Away joined me. But anyhow, yeah, so I'm unemployed, I guess, or self-employed, however you want to look at it. You have a really nice house. Well, thank you. Yeah, if you ever notice in my videos, you can see my house. Greg Bouchard mentioned I have a really nice house. It is a nice house. It's too big for me and my wife, to be honest with you. It's 3 bedrooms upstairs and a half bath, a toilet and a sink up there, and 3 bedrooms, big bedrooms. They're all nice sized bedrooms. Got a big living room and dining room, big bedroom downstairs, and of course the kitchen. And I have the bathroom and the entryway where you come in where the washer and dryer sit. And then I have a breezeway. It's a big room. It's 15 by 17. It sits in between that and the garage. I used to have a wood stove out there. I bet retired or not, you will always have something going. Yeah, it's true. I always have something going on. But yeah, this is a big house. I think it's 20, trying to remember. I measured it off one time, like 2,300 square feet, maybe something like that. 23 or 26. I don't remember. I know it's 20 something. But just too big for me and the wife. Not all the kids are growing up out of the house. Hey, Rodney. I'm glad you're on here, Rodney. If you guys aren't familiar with Rodney Middleton, go check his channel out. He has bees, and he's always watching my videos and commenting. I mean, a lot of you do. Go check each other's channels out. Lee's Arkansas Bound. Hello. I seen a recipe this morning. I forget what channel it was I was watching, but they popped popcorn. They melted like a half stick of butter and put some honey in it and like a teaspoon of salt. Stirred it up and poured it all over popcorn. That looked good. I thought I'm going to have to give that a try. I still have a jar of honey in the cupboard, so. Congratulations, Rodney, on the new baby, or the new baby that's coming. Yeah, I went and put a bid in on that Morton building. I'll talk about that a little bit. Right next door to my property, actually right out, there's windows behind where I'm pointing. There's some windows there. And just, I don't know, a little ways over is my west fence line, and then it's DNR ground. It used to be a farm. The neighbor up the other direction, the east of me, he used to have cattle over here, and they had a 5-acre field they planted, and then part of it was fenced off for just a little fenced pen, a bigger pen actually, where they ran the fat cattle. You know, they had feed troughs out there, and they went out there and dumped corn to them every day and had a self-water. And that crib style barn, the one I tore down, that's where they stored their grain, and they had a wagon sat in the alleyway, and they always had cattle over there. And then there's an old farmhouse. Well, when I first bought this place about 8 years ago, the guy that owned the property next door, his daughter lived there. Actually, he didn't own it. It was his, I don't remember if it was his parents or his wife's parents' place. But anyways, the daughter lived over there in the house, her and her husband. And then sometime after I had first moved in here, I don't know, they were neighbors for about 4 or 5 years. Then they got a divorce. They moved out, and then the house sat empty for a long time. And then there was one renter in there after it sat empty for about 5, 6, 7 years. And a renter lived there for about 1.5 years and moved out, and then it sat empty after that. And then a tree fell on it. But meanwhile, the guy had sold it, and there was a new guy that owned it. The new guy that owned it, he never did rent the house out, and a tree fell on it, and he had it torn down. Well, the Morton building was on the south side of the highway, right across from that house. There was that and that pole building that's next to it on the north side of it. Well, when the DNR took over this property, because the guy that owned it passed away here a couple of years ago, and the son inherited it, and he was going through a divorce, so then he decided to sell the property. Well, he sold the property on the north side of the highway, which is like 39 acres. He sold that to DNR. And then on the south side where the Morton building is, there's a pond, some farm ground, some timber ground. That's part of it's hill and part of it's flat. Anyhow, I had asked about that Morton building when they were doing the burn off last spring, and asked about that barn. I said something about putting a new roof on it, that the shingles are blowing off and that they need to get a roof on it. And they said, oh, we're going to tear that down. And he said, we're going to tear that down. He said, once we get the funding. And I said, I want to tear it down if you let me. And he said, yeah, no problem. And I said, what does the guy got to do? And he says, I'll just type up a letter of permit and let you do it. So I done that, and I asked him about the Morton. He says, well, I got a lot of guys interested in that. He says, so I don't think I can give that away. We're going to have to put that up, take sealed bids, which they did, and I ended up putting a bid in, and I got it. I don't know I think I might have mentioned how much I put a bid in on. If I didn't, I'll tell you now. I put a bid in for $15,000. It's a 36 by 45 Morton. And has one big sliding door and a walk-in door, which a lot of you seen the video on it. It's going to cost me $6,000 to move it from over there to my place, and they're going to jack it up, pull the post right out of the ground, auger new holes, and set it right back down in the ground. So I didn't think $6,000 was too bad. This house that I live in, I moved in on this property. There's down on the corner of the property, right on the highway, right at the corner where I told you the highway turned. I had a 4-bedroom house down there, but it was a smaller 4-bedroom house, an old farmhouse built early 1900s. For years, my wife and I said, if we ever get the money, we're going to build a new house. And so we decided, well, it's sad. Yeah, it is sad seeing houses empty. Not too far from here, not change subject, not too far from here, there's a house that most of the time somebody's living in it, but then it sat empty, but it's still good shape. And then people was renting it again for a while. And then I don't know if it changed hands, and maybe the people that own the property passed away, but they ended up dozing the house down. And I mean, it was a nice house. I couldn't figure out why they took it down, but they took down the house, and all the barns and stuff, except for one metal Quonset building they left up, and the barns were in excellent shape, and they took it down. You're right. I can't build that Morton building for that price. Mortons themselves, if the Morton brand, if you're buying that same building, well, a year ago it was $58,000. it went from 58 to 72. Right now, to build the same size building, 72,000 for Morton. I guess the price of materials has gone up that much, but it's 58. Now it's 72. And, but anyhow, I was trying to figure out on what price to put in, what amount of bid to put in on that Morton. And when I trying to justify how much to put in, and there's a young farmer, of course, he got everything given to him. His grandpa gave him the farm ground, and just up the road from me. And he was probably my biggest threat because he was only going to move it right up the road and wasn't very far. And he planned on moving it himself. He wasn't paying anybody to do it. So I thought that's that much extra money in his pocket that he could put in as a bid. So I wasn't sure what to bid. So I looked up on Menards. Of course, it ain't the same, but I looked at Menards for the same size building. And just for the material, it was $23,000 for the material at that time. I think it's higher now, but $23,000 at the time, just for the material. And I have a friend that's a contractor, and I called him. Matter of fact, he was on here. I don't know if he still is. His name's Matt Piquel. Anyways, I called him to see what it was going to cost to erect it if he was to put it up. And it was another $8,000. So you're talking $31,000 just for new material from Menards and labor. I was going to have $31,000, and that's, buying material from Menards. So that was $31,000, and I thought, well, I called the house mover, and he said $6,000 to move it over on your place and set it back down. And so I thought, well, if I can save myself $10,000, that's how I justified with $6,000 moving and $15,000 for the bid, so $21,000, and I could have a new one from Menards put up, the material and the cost of erecting for $31,000. So I thought, well, that's a $10,000 savings. But if you look at it as an aspect of buying a actual Morton brand, is a lot bigger savings when a new one costs you $72,000. So I'm going to get it paid off first, then start saving my money and eventually have concrete floor poured in. But right now it's got a dirt floor now. It never did have a concrete floor poured in where it's at. So I'm going to have to live with a dirt floor for a while. But as long as I can get my equipment parked out of the weather, like my skid loader, lawnmower, and my walk behind tractor and all the equipment, my chipper shredder, my sickle mower, my rake, my baler, my four-wheeler, all that stuff. And my boat, I got my boat in my garage. But one of my boats, I have a couple of them. One of them's needing some repair, but the boat that's in better shape's in the garage. It'll all be over in that Morton building. I plan on using that Morton to, well, as I call it, my money, but my wife calls it my junk. I'm going to put a lot of my stuff in the Morton so it ain't sitting out so people don't see it in that. My wife complains about all my junk, my lumber, from the barn I tore down, that's going to get stacked inside. I got some of it stacked, covered with plastic. I'm going to put that inside the Morton building also. I doubt it. That's something else, Rodney. About you're asking about the gauge of metal. It's probably not the same at Menards as it is Morton. Morton's probably a little heavier metal, like So, like I said, I was just trying to find a ballpark 31,000 and have the same size building, But yeah, like I said, the quality as far as the metal Morton building, the gauge is a lot heavier than the stuff you'd buy at Menards. So it'd be easier puncturing a hole if you drop something against the wall inside the building. I've seen people do that. They go over or have something on a workbench and fall off and hit against the wall. If it's depending on what it is, it either puts a dent or tears the tin. But that on a Morton building is a lot heavier gauge metal. So your first husband worked at Menards, Deb? I went to Menards one time, was going to put an application in, and I don't remember. I think this quite a few years back, but it seemed like I did. I might have put my application in, turned it in, but they never called me, and I don't know why, other than the fact my nephew worked there, and I don't know, maybe they remembered the name and didn't like him. I don't know. Hey, brainstorm makers. I just watched one of your videos this morning. That's the department I applied for, is the lumber department. I was wanting to work there, but they never did call me. Yeah, Humphrey Homestead, having the extra storage is always nice. I have an old garage, a 2-car garage down behind my old house. It needs some cleaning out. I have my welder in there. I have a bandsaw in there. I have a roller conveyor. It's just rollers, a metal frame that my brother had given me. And then I have a jig for those sawmill, the tracks or the frame of the sawmills in there. So that's kind of taking up most of the space. I'm thinking about, well, once I get my Morton building moved over here, I'm going to take my welder and the bandsaw over there, and then I'll have that one half the garage freed up where I can do stuff in there, because there is electricity down there. I'll eventually get electricity in the Morton building, but so far it's just, right away it's going to be just used for storage. Yeah, I ain't gonna take no job waiting for Menards to call me. You know what's crazy is they have a now hiring sign all the time out there. If I took on a job like that, it'd only be to get discounts on stuff, but I don't need no lumber right now, and even a discount on it's still too high. Menards used to be my favorite store. I liked it over Lowe's and Home Depot. And not trying to talk about politics, but when they started requiring that mask, I quit shopping there. I don't shop there no more. I go to Lowe's. One, they give a military discount, which benefits me. Get 10% off, even though sometimes some of their stuff's a little bit higher in Menards. Usually with that 10%, it usually makes it the same price and sometimes cheaper. But you just got to shop around, because you might find the same item somewhere else even cheaper yet. But I go to Lowe's now and buy all my stuff, and not Menards. Trying to read up on some of these comments, see if I'm missing anything good. Let's see. Let's see. Castle Hives. All the stores require them here. So Menards, Lowe's, Home Depot all require. Home Depot would not enforce it, though. So I go there. You know, they up there in Sioux City, Menards was strict. I mean, they had people right at the door watching you. You didn't have a mask on, man, they were sending you out. I snuck in there a couple times early in the morning when people weren't around, and then people kind of looked at me like I was crazy. And one time I didn't get away with it, and a big guy looked like a linebacker from some football team stopped me, him and another guy, and they were both big, and told me I had to leave. So I ended up leaving, but Lowe's, they never enforced. I mean, I don't know if they really required it. They said, please wear a mask or whatever. I always walked in there. There's a lot of other people that weren't wearing it when they're really strong on it. But they, one time I went in there and this old guy, like way past retirement age, he's probably about in his late 70s. He says, here's a mask, and tried to hand me and a friend of mine a mask. And my friend took them because he'll wear them and I won't. And I said, no, thanks. And he says, no, here, really, you need a mask. And I said, no, I don't. No, thanks. And I just walked on. And he says, yeah, that's what the president, this is when Trump was still in office. Yeah, that's what the president said. And it was right after supposedly Trump had caught COVID, And I just walked on, I didn't care. And my friend's like, you don't want to wear a mask? And I said, nope, I'm not going to. And I just walked on. I didn't do it, That was the only time I got harassed going into Lowe's, and it was just an old guy. I walked in there a bunch of times before that and never said nothing. You're right. Masks are useless. I ain't going to argue there. You still see a lot of, well, I shouldn't say a lot, but you see some people wearing them yet. I go to Menards, or not Menards, but not so much Menards. I don't go to Menards, but I mean, Walmart. I go to Walmart only when I have to. I'll be honest, only when I have to. But you'd be surprised at how many people are still wearing them there. Even though my wife just said that at Walmart said their employees no longer have to wear masks. She just told me that yesterday. And I said, I wonder how many are going to stop wearing them. We'll see. Yeah, I'll agree there, Castle. I'm about as useless as most millennials now. That's for sure. Good morning, our treasured home. You're right, Rodney. There is a lot of masks. Somebody was just commenting on that. I don't know if it was I seen it on a video or something. Somebody is talking about the fact that all the mask caused is a bunch of litter, that they see them all over the place, and you see them everywhere. Let's see. Castle Hive says they sees people wearing masks on a bike trail by themselves. Yeah. I seen somebody the other day. I hadn't seen anybody driving in cars lately. I've seen people in cars lately by them, or not lately, but in the cars by themselves wearing masks, and I'm scratching my head. I'm like, really? But I just seen somebody the other day and they had a mask on. And I think they was in the car, and I'd been the first one in a long time. See you later, Spring Meadow Farm and Garden. Deb says that the mandate in schools have finally been lifted, so kids don't have to wear them anymore. Ours was lifted last year. Yeah, I see that. Well, I should pay attention. My grandsons that live 9/10 of a mile down the road from me, their bus driver, I know they lift the mask. I don't know why the bus drivers are wearing them, unless the bus driver's scared or something. I don't know. But I know at the beginning of the year, the bus driver had a mask on, so I don't know what that was about. I should pay attention to see if they still wear the mask, because they drive by here. Down by the road, I can see the bus driver. See if she's wearing a mask. Oh. Anybody got any exciting plans for the day? I don't really have any exciting plans other than all that. I got a live to do here in a little bit. And then I'm going to clean that junk up and get it loaded and take it down to my brother's salvage yard. Then I do have to go over to my mother's. She got a new dishwasher and regular chores here. Yeah, I got my chores I got to keep up on too. Time to set to work here, guys. See you later, brainstorm makers. Yeah, I'm going to haul that junk down the junkyard after the live that I'm going on here in a little bit. And then I got to go to my mom's. She got a new dishwasher. So I'm going to pick that up from her place. It's sitting out on her deck. And then they just got a new furnace. Well, actually, she got a new electric furnace and was supposed to be getting a heat pump. And the local power company, Whipco, they put in the electric furnace and was supposed to put in the heat pump, but they didn't have the heat pump. It was on back order. Well, that's been over 4 months ago. She kept calling and griping to them about it and stuff. And they said, well, we haven't got one in. Finally, she argued with them enough that she tried locating one. And I don't know if she located it or they finally found some other place. Well, they had to get a whole new furnace because they had to, I don't want to say, it wasn't compatible with the furnace that she had, the heat pump. So they had to buy a pump or a new electric furnace to match the heat pump that she had found. So they come and took this brand new furnace out that was only like 4 months old, took it out and put a whole new furnace in and a heat pump just yesterday. Well, now everything's electric. They went all electric because they got electric range, electric hot water heater, now furnace and heat pump. So they had them come get the propane tank, the place that owned the propane tank, because the house they bought, it was one that the previous lady lived there was renting the propane tank. So the owner of that got it. Well, then there's the gas line, the propane line that ran the house, which is copper. She told me I'd come dig that up. So I'm going to go dig that up today and pick up her old washing machine, or dishwasher, I meant. And it has some copper on it. It has a big chunk of copper line on it. So I'll get a little bit more copper for scrap. Hey, Best Life. I'm glad you stopped in at least to say hello. Let's see. Spends his day, baby. Yeah, but that's what I got going on today. I got to go over and pick up that washer, dig up that copper, and take my junk to the salvage yard. Yeah, I wish. And we have a electric bill, of course, and we have a gas furnace. I used to burn wood, had a wood stove, and of course the insurance company wanted me to take it out or they drop me. Of course, you can find insurance companies that'll insure you with a wood stove, but switching insurance companies is such a hassle. She's gonna stop. Yeah, I burn propane. I'm not sure what the price of propane is. I'm sure it's up now that gas prices is going up and stuff. We contracted 1,000 gallon of propane. Contracted like $1.45 a gallon. I know there in about the middle of winter it's up to like right close to $2, $1.97 or something like that. $1.98. We have a gas hot water heater, our stove's gas, our cook stove's gas, and our furnace gas. Wow, that's an expensive electric bill. They must be all electric, $600. Our electric bill, on the average over a year, it used to be like a couple years ago, it was only like on the average over the 12 months is like maybe $75, $80 a month. Winter months is higher, summer months is lower because we never ran our central air unit most of the time. If we ran central air, it went up considerably, but being it's just me and my wife and don't want to cool the whole house, we just put a window air conditioner in our bedroom window a year before last, and which cools down our bedroom and our kitchen area good enough that we're fine, able to sleep at night when it gets really hot. But our electric bill's a lot cheaper. We checked the cost. When we first got that window air conditioner, we checked it a couple months consecutively to see how much it was actually costing us to run it, and it was only about $20 a month, and that one left it on pretty much all the time. It was a lot cheaper than running the central air unit. So that's what we do now is we just have a window air conditioner we put in our bedroom window, and as long as my wife can sleep at night, she don't like being hot. Me, I get used to it because I'll be outside during the day doing stuff and sweating all day long, during the summer. You come in the house and it's a few degrees cooler. It feels fine to me, but she works in she works in a lab over at the bean plant where they make biofuel and bean products and stuff. And she works in an air conditioned lab. And so when she's in the air conditioning all day and then goes out in the heat, it kills her, Let's see. So I have to get you have a wonderful day too, Boone. I'm going to get off here in about 4 more minutes. We'll give this live 4 more minutes. Yeah, I hope everybody has a wonderful day today, and hopefully everything goes good for you, whatever you're working on. I should have a good day, make a little money, go to the bank, make my second payment on my Morton building. I should keep you guys informed on how I'm doing and getting it paid off. I pay extra, of course. Last month, the payment's $268 and some change, and I paid like $302. I hauled some junk in that day and adding a couple extra odd dollars, so I paid $302. Today, I'm planning on making at least $300 payment. I'd like to get this building paid off in a year or less, but we'll see how it goes. Depends on how much scrap I get and how many other things pop up in between that I have to spend my money on rather than just that building. If all I had to worry about is that building, I could get it paid off fairly quick, but every once in a while something else will come up I might want something that I feel I need, and I end up splurging and spending money on something else that I could be putting towards the building. But see you later, Lee's Arkansas bound. Yeah, priorities, that's for sure. Yeah, every once in a while I come across something I feel I need, and then I end up splurging, taking some of my extra money and put towards whatever it is I feel I need, rather than, like putting it towards the building, for instance. Yeah, got one more minute. Better keep an eye on it. It's going to get away from me. Well, I hope everybody has a good day. And thank you much for coming over to my first live. I'll have to do this again, but thanks, Rodney. I'm glad you enjoyed the live. I'm going to start making a list when I do my next live on what I'm going to talk about. Go get a script and stick to it. But I'm glad everybody came over and enjoyed themselves, or hopefully you enjoyed yourself. I enjoyed you guys being on here. Sorry if I missed any comments or anything. Hey, Bird's Nest 58. I'm just getting off here in just a minute. Stop by though. I'm going to let y'all go and come on over to Life with Blenda and Chuck on his live. I'll be over there in about 15 minutes. I think it's at 9. I think it's scheduled for 9. See everybody later. And don't forget I love you. Bye.